The great Russian author Leo Tolstoy wrote a number of masterpieces in his life. However, it's a lesser-known story which I want to focus on today, and it's simply titled, "Enough Land for One Man." It's about a Russian peasant named Pakhom who decides it would be desirable to have a lot more than he has, especially when it comes to land. He makes a deal with a secret landowner that he doesn't realize is the devil in disguise, and it's at a very, very reasonable price. But it has a little bit of a catch to it. Pakhom gets to keep all the land that he could cover in the course of a day's journey. However, if he does not return to the starting point by sundown, he loses all the money and gets no land. So the day comes and he gets up early that morning. He had already kind of scouted out the land that was desirable, and he started on that journey at sunrise. And he went quite a distance, and then he started to get concerned that maybe he was going too far and he wouldn't make it back. And so he began to walk more quickly, and he picked up the pace faster and faster and faster. Not necessarily a young man, but as luck would have it, he reached the starting point just before sundown. However, being completely overwhelmed by the journey, he collapsed and he died. Jesus says in the gospel, "Be on your guard against all kinds of greed." Because that's what he's talking about, greed. Not possessions, but greed. He says one's life does not consist of their possessions. That's a tough sell in 21st century, first world country, the United States of America. And yet Vatican II, over 50 years ago, wrote the following, and I quote, "Many people, especially in economically advanced areas, seem to be hypnotized, as it were, by economics, so that almost their entire personal and social life is permeated with a certain economic outlook." Tolstoy's story, and much more importantly, this gospel, is not anti-capitalist. It's not anti-possession. It's not even anti-security, because that's really what it's about. Look at all I have. I can store it all up. I can sit back, eat, drink, and be merry. And so it's a story about perspective. And like with Jesus Christ in all things, it's a story about balance. Remember, the motivation is always, or almost 90% of the time, before Jesus tells a parable, there's a little bit of an intro, which is the impetus for the parable. And what is it in this gospel today but one brother saying to Jesus, tell my brother to share his inheritance with me. We don't know what that means. We don't know how much he wants. We don't know how much the brother got. We don't know how much the other brother is entitled to. But remember, greed. Jesus doesn't necessarily preach against possessions. He preaches against possessions that possess us. We don't have to be poor, but neither do we have to be obsessed. Today, Jesus Christ begs the question, as Tolstoy did in his story, how much is enough?